afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway for the first of two SRI Performance dual qualifying races here at the World Center of Racing as we set the starting grid for the Great American Race Saturday afternoon, the Smokies Best Damn Garage Daytona 500. Live from the Daytona International Speedway here on the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the NR2003 Mission BBQ Cup Series. My name is Trey Wright for the NESRN as we get set to start the inside lane. As we get set to set the inside lane for the Smokies Best Damn Garage Daytona 500. 20 laps here in duel number one. We get ready to set things off here in just a couple of moments, but after a pretty good qualifying session, all things considered yesterday, Daniel Voiles will start on the pole position for duel number one. With duel number two, we'll set the outside lane taking place directly after this one, but it is certainly going to be a fun opening qualifier here. 20 laps going on the board, cautions are turned on, and no pit stops are in order. But it's always Daytona. These dual races are always very fun. There's always one dual race that is an absolute you-know-what fest, and the other one that is usually a snoozer. So it's basically a coin flip to see which is going to be the snooze fest and which is going to be the snoozer. But so it's essentially a coin flip to see which is going to be a wreck fest and the other one is going to be a snooze fest. But overall, it's going to be a fun qualifying day of competition here at the World Center of Racing with these two dual races that will set the grid. We'll set the starting lineup for the Great American Race on Saturday at noon Eastern right here on the North American Sim Racing Network. But we're going to go ahead and send things down trackside to get duel number one underway here for the SRI Performance Duels this afternoon at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engine!
21 cars roar to life here at the Daytona International Speedway as we're ready to rock and roll for 20 laps here in the SRI duel number one. Here today at Daytona, Daniel Voiles, your Daytona 500 pole sitter, starts on the pole here for duel number one. Braden Perez, who just missed out on the front row in that Hulu 92, will take the outside pole here in duel number one. Campbell Marsh and Dylan Matthews, with both Otter Island Motorsports cars qualifying inside the top five for this dual race. Logan Williams and Aaron Abel will round out the starting six here in duel number one. Alexandre Vitale qualified 41st, qualifying yesterday. Of course, that inside lane is going to be the preferred line for all of these drivers. Got a good look at all 21 cars out on the grid. Including that the defending Daytona 500 champion from 1 year ago, Dylan Matthews, the Daytona 500 champion from 2 years ago, Braden Perez. They are the only two. Actually, no. Dano Georgi won this race back in 2021. The first car, the first ever race in the Generation 4 car here for the Daytona 500. So all three previous winners of this race will be starting here, and we'll be racing in duel number one. Like we said, 20 laps going on the board. No pit stops are in order, just 20 laps. We run as long as we can under these green flag conditions, but it's certainly going to be a fun one here. Fun day of racing to decide the starting order for the Smokies Best Damn Garage Daytona 500. The Chevy Silverado pace truck about to make its way down in the pit area, makes the hard left-hand turn down. Daniel Voiles will sit on the pole for the 500 regardless of where he finishes. He wants a dual win to his resume as well. So we're green flag racing for duel number one of the SRI Performance Duels. Well, it didn't take us long to get just about 4 wide here on the opening lap, and Dylan Matthews is going to get swallowed up like a largemouth bass. Logan Williams will go to the front, and he will lead as they're 3 by 3 wide at the stripe. Again, this version of Daytona, with the safer barriers, it is a little bit narrower than what we're used to on the old BP version of this track here as we go on to lap number 2. Toby Murphy to the race lead in the 38, both American Motorsports cars in duel number 1. Michael Lewis now to the inside of that Tamiya number 38 machine. Nathan Stapleton in tow. Again, that inside lane is going to be the preferred line for all these drivers, even in a small 21-car field. The train and the cycling. That inside lane is going to be as prevalent as a strategy as it is ever. Of course, last year was the most destructive Daytona 500 we ever had. With, I think what, we had 3 or 4 cautions in last year's Daytona 500. Of course, that will not be set on 110% like this race is as well. So here we go. Looks like we're going to get 4 wide once again. Here is Logan Alexander making it 4 wide for the race lead. You wanted the breast, you got him 4 abreast. Nathan Stapleton's going to get caught in the middle in the 97. A little bit of contact, and around goes the leader of Alexander. That's right in front of the rest of the pack. Brennan Wilmington just able to squeak on through. And the big one on lap number 3. Going to take a lot of drivers out. Toby Murphy destroyed. Same thing with Matthew Hubert, Igor Barreto, Aaron Abel. And Dylan Matthews, last year's champion, ends her duel in a shower of sparks, and the caution flag flies for the opening time here in duel numero uno. And a lot of cars were caught up in that big mess. Michael Lewis, heavy damage on that Ryobi 54 Ford. Logan Williams with damage. Nathan Stapleton with some damage. In fact, might be easier to decipher who did not gain any sort of damage. That all got started when Logan Alexander got turned sideways in front of the rest of the pack. Daniel Voiles, your pole sitter, doesn't look like he'll have too much damage in that 79. Again, like we said, it doesn't matter. He's got some drivers or passenger side damage, I should say. It doesn't really matter what happens to Voiles as long, again, he could flip upside down. He could go in the grandstands. It wouldn't matter. He'd be sitting on the pole on Saturday. This inside lane for the 500 is certainly going to look pretty weird. A lot of drivers down the pit lane after a big stack up here on the opening handful of laps of duel number 1. Michael Lewis's team is going to try and get some cars repaired. It's Matthew Hubert has taken his car to the garage area. I believe Toby Murphy will as well, so I believe Matthew Hubert will be starting in the Daytona 500 deep in the grid. Same thing with Murphy. Campbell Marsh also retiring from this race. Logan Alexander and Igor Barreto have retired from the contest as well. And again, only about maybe 8 or 9 cars staying out here. Looks like Russell Blaze was able to get away without any sort of damage. But Brennan Wilmington had the C's part right in front of him in that Tillamook 62 car. But we'll go ahead and take a look and see what happened to put us under the first caution flag of the afternoon here at the Daytona International Speedway and SRI Performance Duel number 1 here at Daytona. So 4 wide off of turn number 2 historically does not work, and especially when they might be wide enough for 5 wide. But Logan Alexander, who's leading this race, gets turned right in front of Michael Lewis and Toby Murphy. Lewis comes back down the racetrack, and last year's winner in this race in the 54 turns Nathan Stapleton. I genuinely thought that Brennan Wilmington was going to be the only car not caught up in this melee. See, Daniel Voiles, like we said, he's got a little bit of damage for the pole sitter. Nathan Stapleton, yeah, he gets run over by Toby Murphy. And it's just a pretty big free-for-all for everybody back in here. Dylan Matthews, Igor Barreto, they go hard into the outside wall. Matthew Hubert hard into the wall as well. And yeah, Campbell Marsh, I believe he took that 31 car behind the wall as well. And it's not what you want for a lot of those drivers. Not as big as we initially thought. I thought everybody was just going to accordion in. But I think 5 or 6 cars have pulled their automobiles behind the wall, and, well, it's not a good omen for the racing that we're going to see here today. Of course, we got duel number 2 on tap right after this, but there's Aaron Abel getting into Igor Barreto. I believe Barreto is that's going to end his day. Toby Murphy's day is going to be done. Matthew Hubert in that Zin machine, he's going to be done as well. That's going to end the afternoon for Matthews, for last year's Daytona 500 champion. It's not what you want. Fortunately for a lot of these drivers, and a lot of guys in this field had auxiliary damage as well, so it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to remain competitive in this race, but we do know for a fact that a lot of cars are going to get knocked out here after our first accident, hopefully our only accident of the afternoon, here in duel number 1, the SRI Performance Duels. Going on board with Michael Lewis. See his POV of the accident, and he just barely missed that 62 car. And the entire melee right behind that Ryobi 54. Not sure if Lewis is going to be able to remain in the race after this, but last year's winner of duel number 1 certainly has a lot of front-end damage on that 54 car. The view from Toby Murphy's 38 machine on the outside of this entire melee. Nowhere to go there for part 1, and then he just runs over the 97. Nowhere for Matthew Hubert to go, and a lot of auxiliary contact and a lot of bent sheet metal on that Tamiya 38 car. Tough break for Murphy. And finally on board with Brennan Wilmington, we'll see just how close this Tillamook car was to getting involved. Whew! Matter of inches. Brennan Wilmington, a pretty good spot to potentially get his way into the Great American Race with a pretty good starting spot in that 62 here this afternoon. One final look at this accident in real time. So Nathan Stapleton got turned right in front of the rest of the field, and you can see all the chaos brewing right behind a big Staple and a lot of other cars. Some pretty heavy damage. Some heavy hitters in this race from last year, like our defending winner in this race, and in fact both of our defending winners caught up in this accident here. But nonetheless, Brennan Wilmington getting out of that by the skin of his teeth. We'll see what the Washingtonian is able to do on the restart here. Clean up caution number 1 of SRI Performance Duel number 1 here at the Daytona International Speedway. We're back here at the Daytona International Speedway, cleaning up the big one. First caution of the afternoon coming out on lap number 3. And 6 cars have gone to the garage area. It's Campbell Marsh, Dylan Matthews, Logan Alexander, Igor Barreto, Toby Murphy, and Matthew Hubert have all pulled their automobiles behind the wall. They will start towards the tail end of the field come Saturday afternoon. Green flag back into the air, with Brennan Wilmington leading them back to the start-finish line. Dano Georgi and Zachary Fitzwater rounding out the top 3. So go back here on lap number 8, and a great restart for Wilmington. Other drivers that were involved in that accident being the pole sitter for the 500 of Daniel Voiles, and I think he'll probably play it a little bit more conservative than he did. So you start off this race, but Braden Perez trying to join his team owner up at the front. We're 3 wide once again. Here's Alexandre Vitale, qualified last of these guys, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he qualified 21st for duel number 1, and here he is, the runner-up in the championship from 2024. Pretty good a run down in the outside lane, but Brennan Wilmington, like we said during qualifying yesterday, these Pacific Racing cars on the big tracks, they are something to watch, especially when they get all lined up. How about Keegan Thompson, the Lone Appleseed Racing car in this race underneath of Alexandre Vitale, and I believe Pacific Racing is the only team other than Otter Island Motorsports and American Motorsports to have multiple entries in this race. Actually, Nathan Stapleton and the NS Racing cars of Nathan Stapleton and Zachary Fitzwater, they're in this race together. I think the only team that's completely in this field is American Motorsports and their 2-car program. because everybody else that was has multiple cars in here has 2 or 3 cars, or has 3 cars. Actually, no, Otter Island Motorsports, Dylan Matthews and Daniel Voiles. Matthews is out of the race. Same thing with Toby Murphy. Brennan Wilmington caused one of the few accidents in last year's Daytona 500 Right now leads the field to the halfway point in duel number 1. Alex Sanvitale, fastest car on the track, running a 39.919. Keegan Thompson, a little bit of a bobble there from the 3. Reggie Fogelman underneath that 14 machine. 2 other teammates will be starting towards the front end of the pack in duel number 2, coming up here in just a couple of short moments. Wilmington looking for that duel number 1 win. Here in that Tillamook number 62 machine. Tillamook, like we said in the pre-race show, jumping on board, replacing Lumen after Lumen was the primary sponsor for that automobile for the previous 2 years. Wilmington rocking around the Daytona International Speedway as we get a good look at our auxiliary camera angles. Tell you what, Cam Edit, certainly a beautiful tool to use. Keegan Thompson, as we get a nice look at all these cars up in here. Thompson trying to gun for the lead, but Wilmington has been the Pied Piper at Daytona ever since the restart on lap number 8. You might have a little bit of company from Thompson, but that inside lane not able to get a whole lot of development. And again, only 9 cars in this pack of the 21 drivers. Everybody else kind of falling the wayside. Michael Lewis, Aaron Abel has been way off track. He is about 18 seconds behind these guys. Michael Lewis falling back in the 54. Nathan Stapleton is back there. Same thing with Logan Williams. 3 wide for a brief moment. How about Russell Blaze in that 29 car? That Dead by Daylight automobile. He'd love to have a top 5 start in the Great American Race on Saturday as a rookie. Came onto the scene in the Loves American Truck Series earlier on in the fall. Had 2 wins for Joseph Wood's Racing Motorsports program. Coming at, I know one of them was Dover, or did Joseph Wood win at Dover? I know that team won 3 races in a row, and I'm pretty sure one of them came at Dover, and the other one came at North Wilkesboro, I want to say. What was the second race of this? It was the second race of the season, I'm pretty sure. Blaze bringing that experience to the FMGTC, as well as the Mission Barbecue Cup Series along with Wyatt Walker. In fact, not a whole lot of drivers cross-platform for the FMGTC up in here in duel number 1. You know, Alex Lozano, his development driver. I believe his development driver is Damian Caranco, driving the number 021 car for GT Daytona this season as we come around to 5 laps to go in duel number 1. Reggie Fogelman, he's 3 series veteran. Same thing with the 29 of Russell Blaze. We see Zachary Fitzwater cross-platform, at least over in the FMGTC. Dano Georgi is over in the FMGTC as well. Logan Williams, some sort of mechanical issue, a flat tire on that Hershey 17 that will likely cause him to start 29th on the grid come Saturday. How about Reggie Fogelman? Again, you go back to winning the UNOH Battle on the Beach a couple of days ago on Saturday afternoon. Right now, running that 3rd spot in duel number 1. He'd love to get a dual win if he's able to work the draft, but it has been all Keegan Thompson and Brennan Wilmington. Now Keegan's making his move. Here comes the Albertan right underneath the Washingtonian, and these guys are going to catch up to lap traffic in lickety-split amount of time. Abel just now at the octane ball. And how about Reggie Fogelman? He wants to make it 3 wide for the top spot. Here we go for the race lead, coming around to 3 laps to go in duel number 1. Fogelman trying to utilize the inside lane. Thompson's going to wash up the racetrack right in front of Wilmington, and where does Abel go? Abel right in front of all these guys, and he's going to hold up the outside lane, saying, come on through is the inside lane. That's going to allow Fogelman and Blaze to blaze out right to the front here with 3 to go. Keegan Thompson will drop back, and that is going to drop Wilmington all the way back, and that is such a tough break for Brennan, leading 14 laps of this duel so far, but he, right now, coming around at 2 laps to go, he'll likely start outside of the top 30, and that is the luck of the draw when it comes to lap cars, but sticks are high in the air, 2 to go in duel number 1. And we'll see if this pack is able to reform a little bit here. Try and challenge Fogelman and Blaze for the race lead. They aren't linked up together, much like, unlike Zachary Fitzwater. And Fitzwater and Voiles, they are linked together like a couple of sausages. Lap and a half to go in the opening duel. Fitzwater right now trying to lead this inside lane, this second pack back up here and try and challenge for the race lead. We come around to the final lap in duel number 1, and Reggie Fogelman going to the point. Won the preseason race here on the beaches of Daytona, and he's in a pretty good spot to start in 3rd on Saturday for the Great American Race. And I think Russell Blaze, like we said, he just wants a nice and easy top 5 start. Keegan Thompson back up to 3rd. Brennan Wilmington looking for a top 10 start in the 62 car as well. Now the 2 Pacific Racing cars are going to get linked up here coming around the final set of corners. But off turn number 4, what a start to Speed Weeks it has been for Chevy Power Racing. They're not going to get on the front row, but winning duel number 1 is going to be Reggie Fogelman in that Diet Coke number 3. He's going to start on the inside of row number 2. Russell Blaze, Keegan Thompson will round out the first couple of rows here. Daniel Voiles, your pole sitter for the 500. Finishes duel number 1 in 10th. That will do it here for the opening duel of the afternoon. So we take a look at the duel number 1 results. Reggie Fogelman will start in 3rd. Russell Blaze will start 5th on Saturday. Keegan Thompson will start 7th. Charlie Davenport will get a top 10 start in that 98 car. Zachary Fitzwater will be on the outside of the top 10. Brennan Wilmington is able to salvage a 6th place run that is good enough for 13th on the grid. Of course, again, you go into a wild duel race like this, come out of it with the 500, doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you finish. Let's go down to all 6 cars that retired from this race. Campbell Marsh, Dylan Matthews, Logan Alexander, Igor Barreto, Toby Murphy, and Matthew Hubert. They will be on the inside, the rear end of the field. But that's going to do it here for duel number 1. Congratulations to Reggie Fogelman for winning the opening SRI Performance Duel. We're not going to waste any sort of time. We're going to go right back into it with duel number 2 coming up here in just a moment. And we're right back to where we are here for SRI Performance Duel number 2 here at the Daytona International Speedway. This will set the outside row for the Daytona 500 here on Saturday afternoon. Cole Sampson, who will sit on the outside pole position, will lead this field of 21 cars strong to the green flag here in duel number 2. After a fantastic opening duel, we had a big wreck. That was typically seen as the wreck fest. This one will potentially be the snoozer in terms of what we've seen in the past year for these races, but nonetheless, we're going to get these guys rip-roaring and ready to go here around Daytona. So we'll go down trackside for the command to fire the engines.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we are ready to go here for duel number 2 as Cole Sampson, like we said, will lead the field of the green flag in the second SRI Performance Duel. Big Red 2 machine, Bradley Ream, will be starting in position number 2 on the outside pole. In that Monte Carlo, a fair more amount of Chevys in this race. Got a couple of Fords in row number 2, Alexander Rowe starting in 3rd. And Angel Gutierrez in that Home Depot Ford will be starting in that 4th spot. Everybody rolls off. Rogel Dorn in car number 27, along with the 07 Daniel Bouchard, champion from last year. Trying to get things going here is Corey Case in that Grand Blue Fantasy 63. Same thing with the 4 of Eric Monaco, with Reggie Fogelman winning duel number 1. We'll see if the Chevy Power Racing cars, with 2 of them on the grid, are able to win duel number 2 here. Like we said again, the 20 laps going on the board. The only thing that's going to be separating this race up is going to be caution flags, no pit stops, no stages. Ryan Durrani, who qualified 42nd yesterday during the full field qualifying. Start from the tail end of the field in 21st with Mateus Bento in 20th. Was American Truck Series champion Roberto Crown Jr. starting in 19th. Riley Sampson, the older brother of Cole Sampson, will be starting towards the tail end of the field as well. Same thing, Esteban Lasser, Carson Miller, Wyatt Walker, Owen Miles, the Colonel Caleb Rose, and all the other drivers here for this 20-lap second dual race of the afternoon. It's Cole Sampson, 3-time winner here in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, will lead the field back through the race's restart zone to get this second duel underway. This pace truck will come back down the pit lane here, potentially the final time this afternoon. And here we go. Sampson and Ream lead the field to the race's restart zone. Green flag is out in the way, and we're live for duel number 2 of the afternoon. Rogel Dorn will lead the field to complete lap number 1 of duel number 2 as Corey Case trying to threaten for the race lead to the inside of Dorn. A lot of Toyotas on the inside lane there. Got Corey Case, the 32. Oh, Caleb Rose just about hooking last year's champion. And a great save there out of Corey Case. He and Caleb Rose getting a little too close for comfort there as we already got 3 by 3 wide. I guess we are going to have a couple of wild duels here. Case right now showing the race lead. Here comes Lasser in that 64 car. The team is actually yet to take the rookie stripes off for that 64, so that's something that we got to make sure that they take care of for hopping on the grid here in just a couple of days' time in that Schweppes number 64 car. The Lasser being pushed there by a brief moment by the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. Now Crown Jr. has got that inside lane of that Beyblade X machine as they go 3 by 3 wide. Oh, up into the outside wall. That's Owen Miles losing a ton of time in that 05 machine. And he's going to go all the way back to the boondocks. Tough break for Owen Miles in that Ford Fusion as we're threatening to go 4 wide. We are going to go 4 wide. Right in the middle of that 4 wide is Wyatt Walker. Was a little bit up the track and they're able to file it back down to 3 wide. They're not able to just yet. 4 wide for second place. Walker caught in the middle. He and Lasser leaning on each other. Oh, Dorn is into the outside wall. And he is going to go all the way to the back as they're still 4 wide. Contact off of turn 4. Somehow they keep it straight for now. These guys continue to go 4 wide. Mateus Bento trying to take advantage of it. You've got a lot of rookies fighting up in here as we got 3 wide for the race lead. Ryan Durrani, who started last in this race, he's going to go for the race lead. Are we going to have 2 different lanes of 4 wide? I think we are. Oh, this is a recipe for disaster here down Daytona. Bento still playing very deep in the middle. Wyatt Walker trying to hold his line. There's still 4 wide, and this is just a recipe for something to go wrong. Touching a little bit there in the 19 and the 64. Still, somehow nobody's going to give an edge. Some more contact between Walker and Lasserre. More contact. Ream up into the outside wall, and there they go. Hard upside down goes Caleb Rose. Right in the wall was Riley Sampson. Back down the track, and a couple other drivers getting mucked up in it. And another big crash. This time happening in turn number 2 when the yellow flag flies once again. And they could not do that for long. No, they couldn't. Caleb Rose is destroyed. Esteban Lasserre in a heap. Same thing with Riley Sampson as he went tumbling down the banking. Oh, some more contact right as we're coming back to the start-finish line between Sarah Taylor and Mateus Bento. Well, this race is certainly going to be something else. That's for certain. Roberto Crown Jr., that'll be at the end of his day. And Caleb Rose, Wyatt Walker, they had to be teleported back to the pit area, and that was not the scariest crash that we've seen Caleb Rose have in his career. Rogel Dorn, I believe he went to the garage area. He indeed did. He hit somebody. It was a fuel leak for Rogel Dorn. And now I think we might have an issue on our outside pole sitter of Cole Sampson. So he is down on the apron. It is a flat tire for your outside pole sitter. It shouldn't mean much. But we are under the caution flag for the first time here in duel number 2. And that was... They did about maybe 7 or 8 miles of 4 wide before they finally ended up in a big heap between turns 1 and 2. Sarah Taylor, the race leader here for SRI Performance Duel number 2. We work our first caution of the afternoon here, and another big wreck taking out some heavy hitters here in the second of the SRI Performance Duels at the Daytona International Speedway. Well, we knew that these guys couldn't do this for long. I think they were pulling it off for maybe about 3 or so laps at this point. But what goes up ultimately must come back down, and yeah, little too tight there for Wyatt Walker. Goes up into Esteban Lasserre, and yeah, Caleb Rose, he just got hit there by the rear end of Lasserre, and upside down goes the Colonel. Right as the 24 of Riley Sampson is riding the wall as well. I believe only one revolution for the Tide ride. But I think a couple other drivers who were screaming through got a little bit of a piece there. Just a little. I don't think Corey Case got a little bit of a tap there. I think he should be fine. It's Rogel Dorn. Yeah, he's going to run right into that 32. Owen Miles also with a little bit of a lick as well, as Riley Sampson will go bounding down the racetrack down this 33 degrees of banking. 31 degrees of banking, my apologies. And it's pretty much a junkyard here in turns 1 and 2. The Tide ride of Caleb Rose is pretty destroyed. Same thing with Riley Sampson's 24 car. But a pretty big wreck to put us under the caution flag for the first time today, and we'll get another couple looks at it. First on board is with the rookie of Wyatt Walker. And he is going to get squeezed in like a burrito. There's that flying 32 right in front of him. Fortunately, he did not get run over by anybody else, but the rookie in his first race here in the MBCS, pretty toast. On board with Rogel Dorn, who was way behind these guys after hitting the wall. He's trying to make evasive maneuvers, trying to move down, but yeah, you can hear him losing a lot of fuel pressure there. Just a little bit of a lick there from Caleb Rose. And that will cause Rogel Dorn, the sophomore driver, to be starting from the tail end of the field here in Daytona. Finally, we go on board with Caleb Rose. He got a front row seat of all of the shenanigans. Little pinch, little squeeze, and upside down goes the Colonel. Back down the track he goes, a little contact there. Riley Sampson goes pirouetting right in the corner, right in front of him, and a tough break for Caleb Rose. He will start the Daytona 500 in that 42nd spot on Saturday afternoon. One final look at this massive accident here in real time. Following with Caleb Rose as, he just got turned upside down at the worst possible point. And Riley Sampson down the 31 degrees of banking, flipping in the corner. Definitely not what you want if you're any of these drivers trying to get a decent starting spot. But the good news for them is that these aren't qualifying races in terms of LCQs like we have in the FMGTC. So you see that's all the front-end damage on that 27 machine as he had the entire front quarter panel ripped off of that WeatherTech Ford. We've had a lot of violent wrecks in these qualifying races here at Daytona. But Danny Fallington, I believe he should be the race leader when we get back through the gears here. See what this number 9 car is able to do on the restart here for our first and hopefully only accident of SRI Performance Duel number 2. It's actually Sarah Taylor who's the race lead. My apologies. Taylor is the race leader. We'll see what she's able to do here on the restart for Duel number 2 of today's qualifiers. And we return to the Daytona International Speedway, cleaning up caution number 1 of SRI Performance Duel number 2. Just like we saw in the opening duel, 6 cars have brought their automobiles to the garage area. Caleb Rose, who will start shotgun on the grid on Saturday afternoon. He finishes this duel in last with Wyatt Walker, Riley Sampson, Rogel Dorn, Roberto Crown Jr., and Esteban Lasser will start in the tail end of the grid for the Great American Race on Saturday afternoon at noon Eastern. Sarah Taylor will lead the field back to the green flag here in just a couple of moments as we get set for the second half of this race. It'll be Taylor, Bryce Egan, Danny Fallington, Mateus Bento, and Eric Monaco leading the field back through the race's restart zone. And here we are, green flag back out and away. We can cue the Bon Jovi in this one. We're halfway home through SRI Performance Duel number 2. A great restart for Danny Fallington as he tries to jump to the inside of the 90. See all the skid marks there from that crash on lap number 7, and they could not do 4 wide for long. That's setting a very dangerous precedent for a lot of these guys, them being able to do 4 wide like they were. There's Danny Fallington going to the point, a little bit of a bump draft there from Mateus Bento. 2 brand new paint schemes out front here at Daytona. Got Eric Monaco joining the fray as well. Bradley Ream is still in this contest. Carson Miller right behind Eric Monaco, about a car separating the 2 winners of this race for GT Daytona and GT Le Mans in a 2.4 a couple of weeks ago. As Eric Monaco moving for second. He's got that inside lane with Thomas Troxel, giving him a little bit of a shove. Ryan Durrani caught in the middle in that Amazon Prime 86 car. Bumping up and down on the track are these drivers. We're back to 3 wide as Danny Fallington right now, the Pied Piper of the World Center of Racing. Fallington moving on the high side. Still 3 wide behind him, and they might get enough for 4 wide. Unlike we saw in that first accident in duel number 1. Not a whole lot of cars were involved in that accident, so we still have a ton of competitive cars. I think the only car that might not be competitive is Corey Case. He's fallen 3 seconds off the tail end of the field, so he might be nursing some mechanical issues on that 63. So we definitely have more than enough to get potentially another crash here. Durrani going into the outside wall just a little bit in that 86. Fallington still playing defense. I don't think that Corey Case is going to end up being a lap down car. I don't think he's slow enough. Fallington leading, Bento in second, Monaco in a battle for third right now with both Troxel and Taylor. Troxel with a little bit of a run to the inside as the top two will break away for a brief moment. Now that outside lane starting to get some momentum on the top side from both Taylor and Durrani. 6 laps to go in duel number 2. And still far from over. Here in this second SRI Performance Duel, it has been a great afternoon of racing so far. It's Cole Sampson, after having that flat tire during that caution period, he's back in the dance in that DeWalt number 5. His older brother Riley will be starting deep in the field in Saturday's race. Here comes Bento. He's got some help to the inside. Danny Fallington is going to go to the boondocks here in that twisty treat number 9. Bento to the race lead. Eric Monaco still trying to get up there in that 4 machine. So we're going to go on board with Eric Monaco. See what he has to see as we'll take you for a lap around the Daytona International Speedway. Right now up to second, right behind Ryan Durrani. See the back end off of the 4 car, all these guys right behind that Pennzoil machine. Now here comes Monaco looking for the race lead under Durrani. 5 laps to go in duel number 2. Monaco gunning for that spot. We're going to have 3 wide for the race lead once again. We could have 4 wide here once more. 3 by 3 wide. Durrani, last year's Indianapolis winner, is now up into the outside wall as this 9 of Fallington. That's the 3rd time in this race that somebody has been snookered by the outside wall in turns 3 and 4. We saw that happen a lot last year where just drivers running up there a little too aggressively, and that's going to take Fallington way outside of the top 10. That'll probably knock him out of the top 15, and that is not going to be what Fallington wants. Here comes Gutierrez moving underneath Durrani. Everybody realizing now is the time to jockey for positions. Trying to get up to the top end of the field, but I don't know. I'm liking where Alexander Rowe is sitting right now in that 84 car. Me personally, to potentially get this duel number 2 win, either him or Cole Sampson would be my picks. Potentially get this second duel win. Sticks high in the air. 2 laps to go in the second duel. Right now it's Gutierrez with a little bit of a ledge out front. They are door to door here for duel number 2. And now is Carson Miller going to make his move to the inside? No, he's not, but Cole Sampson will. Sampson get any help from behind? Yes, he does, with a little bit of help from the 84. Outside lane is much more organized. Durrani's going to get the run off of the corner. And here we are. It's the bell lap for SRI Performance Duel number 2. White flag is in the air. One more time around the Daytona International Speedway, and Ryan Durrani trying to start this race from the 4th spot. He's got 3 wide behind him. Durrani blocking the high lane. Now he's going to go back down to the middle, and Gutierrez trying to get that outside lane a little bit more organized. And here comes Cole Sampson. It's already going to start from the outside pole tomorrow, but he wants this second duel win. Don't think he's going to get it. Troxel into the outside wall. Here comes Angel Gutierrez off of the final corner. Can Gutierrez get the run on the inside? Durrani's got the run on the outside. They're going to be side by side. Who's going to get the win in duel number 2? And it's Angel Gutierrez by about maybe half a wheel well. We'll get the official margin of victory. 6 1/1000ths of a second for Angel Gutierrez, and how about that? And I know Michael Lewis, who won duel number 1 last year for NS Racing, Didn't win the first duel here this afternoon. But his team is going to get a dual win here today with Angel Gutierrez going to Gatorade Victory Lane and that Home Depot number 18 car. Ryan Durrani will start in 6th for the Great American Race. So we get a good look at the results here for SRI Performance Duel number 2. Angel Gutierrez starting off pretty strong in that Home Depot 18 Ford from Mal Racing. He's going to start in 4th. Ryan Durrani, 6/1000ths of a second away from getting that dual win. Carson Miller, Daniel Bouchard, and Cole Sampson will round out the top 5 here, but Cole Sampson will be starting in 2nd. Gutierrez will be 4th. Durrani will start 6th. Carson Miller will be 8th. Daniel Bouchard will round out the top 10 for the Great American Race coming at you on Saturday, and all 6 cars that retired from this race. Caleb Rose will start shotgun in the field in 42nd with Wyatt Walker, Riley Sampson, Rogel Dorn, Roberto Crown Jr., and Esteban Lacer joining him in the tail end of the field, and they will join the other 6 drivers that failed to finish duel number 1 earlier on this afternoon. But your your grid for the Smokies Best Damn Garage Daytona 500 has been set, with Daniel Voiles will lead the field to the green flag Saturday afternoon at noon Eastern Time. A little bit of a high noon showdown on Valentine's Day here in the Sunshine State. We get ready to rock and roll for season number 6 of the NR2003 Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Now that'll do it here for today's broadcast. You'll see those starting lineups for everybody here in just a couple of moments, but on behalf of everybody from the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, and congratulations to Reggie Fogelman and Angel Gutierrez for winning the SRI Performance Duels. We'll see you right back here on the North American Sim Racing Network on Saturday, February 14th at noon Eastern, right here on your home for the NR2003 Mission Barbecue Cup Series, the North American Sim Racing Network. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's coverage of the SRI Performance Duels. See y'all on Saturday for race day, the race number 1 of the 2026 season for the MBCS. We'll see y'all then. Have a great evening.